Hey look, it's two members of the Bad Reputation video game club as ET's hanging out with Donkey Kong, both for the Atari 2600, but today we're going to check out the 2600 version of Donkey Kong, and we're going to find out if it really deserves the bad reputation it has. So let's go ahead and take this, pop it into my Atari 7800 Pro system, and see how it holds up today. Let's go to the game. Donkey Kong is based on the 1981 Nintendo arcade game and was published by Coleco and carries a copyright year of 1982. It was also repackaged and republished by Atari in the late 80s. Donkey Kong was programmed by Gary Kitchen, who would later publish the very popular Keystone Capers for the Atari 2600. According to the manual, Donkey Kong the Ape has captured Mario's girlfriend, who, just like the 7800 version, remains nameless. Donkey Kong is a platformer for one player only and only has one mode of difficulty. In the game, you use the joystick to move Mario and climb ladders, and the fire button to jump. You can also get a temporary hammer to defeat fireballs and barrels, but you cannot climb ladders while holding the hammer. The game only contains 2 of the arcade's 4 levels, which is somewhat understandable considering the time this was released. The first level is the girder level, which has Mario jumping over and avoiding barrels in order to get to the top. The second level is the rivet stage, which contains fireballs that sometimes move erratically. In this stage, Mario must remove 8 rivets by either jumping or walking over them. Do so and Donkey Kong will fall to his doom, enabling Mario to rescue his girlfriend, except not in the 2600 version. In the 2600 version, once you remove the final rivet, nothing happens, except the game loops back to the first stage. However, the game doesn't seem to get any harder when you loop, like most other games do. The graphics are often the most criticized aspect of the game, however I don't think they look that bad. Okay, Donkey Kong does look like a gigantic mutated gingerbread man, and the barrels do look like gigantic mutated Ritz crackers, and the fireballs in the second level do look like gigantic mutated aliens made of yogurt that have been miniaturized. But I actually think the levels themselves look pretty good, as do Mario and his unnamed girlfriend, considering the time it was released and the limitations of the system itself. I also thought the music and the sounds were okay as well. And yes, this is a family-friendly game, unless you are prone to having nightmares about gigantic mutated gingerbread man. On eBay, loose copies of the Coleco version usually sell for $5 to $8, while the red-labeled Atari later releases sell for $11 to $13. Complete copies of the Coleco version were selling for $15 to $20, and new Coleco versions were selling for $30, while red-labeled versions of the Atari later release were selling between $70 and $90, and as always, those prices include shipping. So what do I think of Donkey Kong for the Atari 2600? Well, it definitely isn't as bad as its reputation. At the time it was released, the expectations of arcade conversions were not nearly as high as today, and this game did enjoy some popularity. And compared to the NES and 7800 versions, this version actually does the best job of controls when climbing the ladders, as I never got stuck like I did in those 2 versions. However, I did encounter 2 rare bugs. One time a fireball did cross the gap right after I removed a rivet, and another time a fireball slid right under my swinging hammer and hit me. But those were not a big deal to me. But what was the fact that after a while I just got bored with only 2 levels and the difficulty that starts pretty low and doesn't really increase. It was fun for a couple minutes, but not much after that. So where am I going to rank Donkey Kong? Well, it is good, as I said, for a couple minutes of fun. So if I only had a few minutes to kill, I would prefer this over the very ambitious but somewhat clumsy Crypts of Chaos, which is currently at my number 29 spot. But I do like Pac-Man a little bit more at number 28, another game with a reputation worse than what it really is, so I'm going to make Donkey Kong my new number 29 game for the Atari 2600. Donkey Kong on the 2600 is not as bad as its reputation, but it does get old after a few minutes. If you enjoy retro-related videos, would you please click the like and subscribe buttons? You can now support the show through Patreon as well. Just go to patreon.com/NoSwearGamer. Also be sure to check out some of my other videos covering Atari, Sega, Nintendo, and more. I'm also part of the Retro Junkies Network. You can find other retro-related podcasts and shows by visiting theretrojunkies.com. Thank you for giving me a little part of your day, and I look forward to seeing you next time on the next episode of the No Swear Gamer. Take care and watch out for gigantic mutated gingerbread men.